What's going on, guys, and welcome back to WrestleRant, where every single Tuesday I, Graham Giuseppe Matthews, review all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network. And ahead of TLC this coming Sunday, presented by the Raw brand, today we're talking TLC 2016, presented by the SmackDown Live brand. And honestly, my favorite pay-per-view of 2016. Like, that's how much I love this show. And I was at SummerSlam, I was at Hell in the Cell, and I was at Extreme Rules last year. I was at 3 different pay-per-views for WWE in 2016. Yet this was my favorite show of the entire year. That's how good I thought the show was. And SmackDown Live's probably the peak, I would say, the peak of how great SmackDown was and has been since the brand extension last year. I would say this was the peak, and they have yet to get as good as they were in December of last year. Because really, a lot of these matches had been going on, a lot of these feuds had been going on since the brand split started. And they all carried out through the next few months, and which is why TLC on this show fucking meant something. Like, TLC this year, I'm looking forward to the Shield, their reunion and their match with Miz and Cesaro and Braun Strowman and Sheamus, as well as Asuka's debut. But a lot of the matches that are set to take place on that show on Sunday do not feel like a culmination of many months worth of a great storyline. Oh, Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the feeds we had on SmackDown late last year, everyone was being utilized, and everyone had something going on for themselves. So we'll talk about it right now. Before we get into the main card, quick kickoff show note here. It was a 10-man tag team match. Apollo Crews, the Hype Bros, and American Alpha, beating Kurt Hawkins, the Vaudevillains, and the Ascension. Fine match, fun for what it was. In the actual opening match on the show for the SmackDown tag team titles, the Wyatt families, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, knocking off Heath Slater and Rhino to win the tag team championships. And a really fun match. Slater and Rhino, their tag team title run kicked off nicely. When they won the tag team titles at Backlash, it was a big moment. It was really cool to see Slater finally get a cool moment. And he had gotten a SmackDown contract in the process. And they were still popular for like a month or two after that. And then SmackDown rarely used them. I know they were the team captains for their team at SmackDown, on first SmackDown at Survivor Series. But they were taken out pretty quickly, and they were essentially an afterthought in the match. So it came to a point okay, it's not a matter of when, but who's going to be the team that knocks off Slater and Rhino for the tag titles. And ultimately, it was Wyatt and Orton. Orton had teased turning on the Wyatt family after joining them back in October, but that wouldn't happen for a few more months. He stuck through with the family through this pay-per-view, did not tease any tension at all with Bray Wyatt. They remained a cohesive unit and won this match to win the tag team championships. Bray Wyatt's first taste of WWE Gold, along with Luke Harper. Now, he was not involved in the actual match. He did interfere from ringside a few points, helping them win the match. And he and Orton were teasing, going back and forth. Is Orton can he be trusted? And he was ultimately. But he would be later recognized as 1/3 of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, which was really, really cool. So Luke Harper also got his first taste of Tag Team Gold on the main roster in WWE through this match. So a really fun opening match. It did not overstay its welcome. It was only 5-6 minutes long. But it was as long as it needed to be with the right outcome. And again, Slater and Rhino, they went on to do nothing. Really, they have not done anything in the past year since this match happened. They're still with the company. They're on the Raw brand now. But they have not done really anything at all since that point in time a year ago. But it was the right move to make, to put the belts on the Wyatt family and continue their stream of domination after emerging victorious at the Survivor Series pay-per-view, being the sole survivors for the SmackDown team over Raw. After that, a no disqualification match between Nikki Bella and Carmella, and honestly, a good match. It was probably the weakest match in the entire show, but that's not really saying anything because the entire card was great. But Nikki Bella and Carmella had a really, really good feud. There was nothing at stake. I liked the fact that it wasn't for the SmackDown Women's Championship. It was a good way of bringing Nikki Bella back to the SmackDown brand as a babyface. Carmella was a really good heel. She has been a great heel ever since. The promos were really good. They really broke down the fourth wall by bringing in John Cena, who never got involved in the feud, but he was brought up a bunch of times by Carmella. The match in No Mercy was all right. This one was a lot better. I thought they made good use of the no disqualification stipulation. And in the end, Nikki Bella won. Now, I would not have done that. Now, Carmella has since rebounded. She became Miss Money in the Bank twice, I guess, but the first ever Miss Money in the Bank earlier this year, so she's doing just fine. But with Nikki Bella, I thought she really did not need this win. She would go on to feud with Natalya after it was revealed that Natalya was the one who attacked her at Survivor Series. So anyway, I thought this was a good match. The weakest thing on the show, but still a good match. After that, Miz and Dolph Ziggler clashing in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Again, another awesome match, no pun intended. These guys have had great matches in the latter half of 2016 at Backlash, Mercy, on episodes of SmackDown, and the feud was set to culminate on this show in a ladder match. I had pitched it for months, and I'm glad it happened, as opposed to just moving into Miz and versus fucking Kalisto or something, or Apollo Crews in a random throwaway feud. It was cool that they blew off the feud in this fashion, in such a fashion, in a ladder match of all things at the pay-per-view. Now, both men have history with ladder matches. Dolph Ziggler, former Mr. Money in the Bank. Miz, a former Mr. Money in the Bank. And they had been in countless ladder matches before. Ziggler had been in 2 or 3 ladder matches before this. He won a ladder match at TLC 2010. He was in a ladder match, I think, at TLC 2014 with Luke Harper. Was he won in 2015? I don't think so. I think he's been in 3 ladder matches at the show. And he won the first 2, but not this one. This was awesome. The storytelling here was excellent with Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler faced Luke Harper at the 2014 TLC. That's why I had that in my head. Ziggler battling back and fighting through a knee injury, but ultimately wasn't enough, and Miz won, and he was just berating Dolph Ziggler afterwards in the mic, saying you're a fucking loser, like Daniel Bryan. He didn't say fucking, but you know what I'm saying. The promo was on the money, and the guy was just fucking killing it, which is why it bothered me even more when they took the belt off from less than a month later, and he would not go on to contend for the WWE title at the, from that point forward, because I think he deserved to at that point, in my opinion. But anyway, awesome match, and probably, the No Mercy match was hard to top with Ziggler winning and the whole moment there. This was a bit different. No interference from the Spirit Squad. I think Maurice might have gotten involved at one point, but that was it. And in the end, the right outcome with The Miz holding on to the Intercontinental Championship. After that, a chairs match that superseded my expectations between Baron Corbin and Kalisto. Now, the feud, no one really gave a shit about on SmackDown. Another feud that had lasted a while, not consistently, but they did tease it over the summer when SmackDown first started. SmackDown Live first became its own brand. Then Kalisto, I think, got hurt and he was out for a while. He was out for a while. He came back. He targeted Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin then took out Kalisto at Survivor Series and cost him the Cruiserweight Championship, setting up this match. It was a really, really good match. And the funny thing is that this had the potential to be a disaster because the feud no one cared about, and chairs matches have traditionally been really bad. Look no further than Big Show versus Mark Henry, Batista versus The Undertaker. Other bad chairs matches. I'm trying to think of other bad chairs matches. Ryback versus Kane from 2011. Good God, that was awful. Del Rio and Swagger wasn't bad. That was probably the best chairs match prior to this one. But this was really, really good. And it was a great reminder as to how good Kalisto could be. These guys worked well together. They put together a really exciting match. And in the end, Baron Corbin catching Kalisto and slamming him down in the chairs and hitting his finisher on the chairs at the end of days. It was a great fucking match. And one of the better matches of the night, to be honest with you. It really exceeded my expectations and continued the rise of Baron Corbin on SmackDown. After that, a tables match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship with Alexa Bliss contending for the gold against Becky Lynch. Not a great match, but I thought it was pretty good. Not as good as the SmackDown match they had, in Glasgow the month prior, but it was still pretty good, told a good story. Alexa Bliss, in the end, pushing Becky through one of the tables to win her first SmackDown Women's title. In a great, surprising moment, she deserved it, and she ran with the ball. She took the ball and ran with it. A SmackDown Women's Champion is the best thing to happen to women's wrestling in WWE in 2017, in my opinion. It all started with this match. But it was a good match. I thought they told a good story, a lot of good table spots, suspenseful spots that looked like she was going to go through it, but she didn't. And it looked like Becky was going to put her through it, but she didn't. Again, a lot of cool, suspenseful spots. One of the better tables matches I've seen in recent memory. Not a great match, but it was still pretty good with absolutely the right outcome, with Alexa Bliss becoming the new SmackDown Women's Champion. After that, in the main event, a TLC match, tables, ladders, and chairs match for the WWE World Championship. AJ Styles defending against Dean Ambrose. And by this point, these two had a handful of matches. At the Backlash show, on SmackDown, they had a lot of matches, but this was easily the best of the bunch. And you can give Dean Ambrose the shit all you want, as much shit as you want, for underperforming in big match situations with the likes of, Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt and whoever else, Roman Reigns. But this was a phenomenal match. Pun intended this time. These guys killed each other with the 450 through the table on the outside of Ambrose. Through Ambrose, to Ambrose hitting the diving elbow off the top of a ladder to Styles through a table. It was a crazy-ass match. This match was really, 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 really entertaining. And one of the best matches of the year, in my opinion. A late match of the year contender. That's how good this match was. So it was kind of marred by the screwy finish. I mean, I'm glad AJ won, but when Ellsworth came out and then turned on Ambrose, that was a little dumb. I wasn't too fond of that finish. And it didn't really go anywhere either. So Styles, James Ellsworth was promised a title shot, which he eventually got a few weeks later. Styles was still hurt, but Ellsworth got it at the end of 2016, and he lost in a minute, as he should have. But it looked like Styles and Ellsworth were going to be a unit, which never happened, which is probably for the better. But Ambrose quickly hit a dirty deeds on Ellsworth on the next SmackDown after this, and that was it. The end of the feud there, which I'm glad they did, because an Ellsworth-Ambrose program would have been abysmal. And they later put Ellsworth with Carmella, who he's been with ever since. But the main event I thought was really, really good, and just with a kind of a fluky finish. And they at least kept Ambrose out of the title picture, and they would not go back to Styles and Ambrose after this, and they would move Styles on to feud with John Cena heading into the Royal Rumble. But not before, that was before they that was after they had done Styles versus Ziggler versus Baron Corbin on SmackDown in the final episode of 2016, which was phenomenal. But this was a great, great main event and an awesome way to close out a 2 thumbs up worthy show. Again, my favorite pay-per-view of 2016 for WWE. I don't know if it was the best. In my opinion, it was. There was not a bad match in the entire card. Kickoff served its purpose, but the next 6 matches were all great. Even Nikki Bella and Carmella, which again I thought was the weakest match on the show, was still pretty damn good. The Wyatt family versus Slater and Rhino served its purpose, got the titles on the Wyatt family in a fun little match. Miz and Ziggler, awesome match. The main event was fucking awesome too. Corbin and Kalisto superseded my expectations with the chairs match. And even Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch was also really, really good. And with the right outcome, with Alexa Bliss becoming the new SmackDown Women's Champion. So 2 title changes, 2 awesome matches, and just a very overall memorable, enjoyable evening. So that was TLC 2016. Any one match to watch would be the main event, but again, I would watch the whole show back in its entirety. So when I watched the show back recently to review it for WrestleRant, was not the first time I've seen the show since it initially aired a year ago last December. And I rarely do this with WWE shows, and I think I've said this before, that with every NXT TakeOver after it's over, after it's aired or whatever, I'll watch it back the following week or the week after that, because all the takeovers are great. I'll never do that with a WWE pay-per-view. The only 2 times I've ever done that was with WrestleMania 33, which obviously because I was there, and then TLC. And I wasn't there, but I just loved the show so much, I had to watch it back. So I watched it back when I was still at school. And RJ watched the show. I know I watch a lot of these shows with RJ, but he came over, and we don't watch shows together anymore, but he came over for this one, and it was phenomenal. A complete 180 from Fastlane, which we would watch together a few months later, which was atrocious. But this pay-per-view was fantastic and well worth watching ahead of TLC 2017 this coming Sunday. So as always, guys, thank you guys for checking out the review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Next Tuesday, I think I'm talking about NXT TakeOver Dallas from April of 2016. Talk about great shows. That's one of them. One of the better shows in 2016 as well. So we'll talk about that next Tuesday. But in the meantime and in between time, folks, have a great rest of your week. I'm Graham Jesus Matthews. Enjoy TLC this Sunday, and I'll catch your ass down the road.